The KTM RC390 is peak beginner motorcycle, and I've bought one to give away. I bought this KTM RC390 as our new beginner bike giveaway sweepstakes. I love these machines. I love the beginner bike category, and this is one of the very best. This one's been updated for 2023, and it's got a whole lot that I'm gonna get into on this video. But if you want the chance to enter to win this bike, I've got a special promotion going on right now. For the next 3 days, head over to shop.yammienoob.co, get anything you want, and you'll get 5x entries for every $1 you spend. No code is required. Alternatively, you can go to yammienoob.co, and that's the best way to get entered to win. Join our community and get automatic entries to win all of our giveaway motorcycles, and get our community access as well on Discord, and get 10% off on the store. But let's check out the specs on this bike. It wouldn't be a reveal video without jumping into the specs a little bit, wouldn't it? So let's talk about this fantastic little KTM RC390. So let's jump over the weight on this thing. 342 pounds wet and ready to ride. That is a nice felt curb weight, about 200 pounds less than a Turbo Hayabusa, which we all know is the proper beginner bike, but let's be honest, this thing might be a little bit better than that, so to speak. Now, this motor over here, the same tried and true 373cc single cylinder that you've seen in the KTM Dukes, Husqvarna Svartpillens, and the RC bikes. It's been around for quite some time, I think released in 2015. Famously, when it was released in 2015, had a lot of head gasket problems and wasn't the most reliable engine. After 2017, they made a lot of revisions to the motor. It's been rock solid ever since. I know because I have personal experience with this motorcycle, as I will tell you guys later in the video. Making about 44 horsepower and 28 foot-pounds of torque, redlines at about 10,000 RPMs. It's not a big screamer of an engine, much more of a linear torque forward kind of motorcycle. This bike is also featuring a lot of cool tech upgrades for the 2023 model year. It's got a Supermoto ABS mode, which allows you to turn the rear ABS off on this machine, and it also has a very rudimentary traction control system. That means that if you have it on and you try to pop a wheelie, it will immediately just send you back down to earth. Again, ask me how I know. Now, this motorcycle also comes, if you want to, from the factory with a bi-directional quick shifter. That is a factory add-on option. So this doesn't automatically come with that quick shifter. I think it's a couple $100 and you get this bike with the quick shifter fitted. It's also got adjustable levers up here, which is really nice for a beginner rider to have. That beautiful TFT display that is really easy to read and really crisp. You can also put your KTM My Connect ride or whatever, but I've actually never met anyone who connects their phone to their motorcycle. If you are one of those people, please leave a comment down below, because I don't think you actually exist. And again, the whole ethos of this motorcycle is that it's small, it's lightweight, it's svelte, it's kind of this corner carving, nimble little machine that is obviously part and parcel with the fact that it features a 140 tire out back and a 110 up front. That's a small, narrow tire designed to be really flickable and match the lightweight nature of this motorcycle. One of the coolest features for the 2023 model year for the KTM RC390 is the adjustable front fork that you get with this machine. Now, it's not some crazy adjustable Öhlins top shelf suspension system. This is a motorcycle that costs under $5,500 on the showroom floor. So this features the WP Apex suspension. It has rebound and compression adjustability, no preload up at the front, and the rear is preload only. So you're able to dial in the front end dive and rebound a little bit, but it's not going to be a super comprehensive suite of suspension on this motorcycle. And a really fun feature, they actually give you one of these little rubber bands that put on your fork legs to see how much dive you're actually getting. Make sure you're staying at the mid-stroke and that your suspension is in check. Also features a single disc up front with the bi-bree braking system. That is a Brembo subsidiary that is manufactured in India, as well as this whole motorcycle is made in India, if memory serves me correctly. And overall, it's a very successful package for the beginner rider. This is everything you need to get started with sport bike riding and nothing you don't. So this bike is pretty sweet in my opinion. All right guys, so getting an exhaust clip sound check on the RC390. Now, it's not gonna be world-endingly loud or cool. This is a 373cc single with a stock pipe, and it's been pretty unchanged since the original one that came out. A couple improvements to the head gasket and a couple other things here and there, but you're gonna notice this sound is pretty similar to what you've come to expect from the KTM Parallel Twins, almost called Parallel Twin. We might get one of those in a 490, but right now it's still a single cylinder. Let's get it started up. So already warmed the bike up a little bit, puttering to life here. Let you guys hear it. It's got a cool feature where if you hit the starter button over here, if it doesn't start up immediately, it actually tries to restart it again. And I've also noticed it does a bit of like a higher rev thing to warm it up. So it's got a couple extra tech bits that the old ones did not have, but we'll give you a sound clip. So again, guys, stock exhaust will not stay stock for long, but I think it's got a peppy, fun little sound. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, guys, so walking over the KTM RC390, just pointing out some of the cool features on this bike. First of all, starting from the back here, you have this exhaust pipe, which is like kind of like an aftermarket looking pipe, and KTM actually has a bunch of really cool power parts that you can put on this thing, which is really awesome. The seat here as well. I've never seen a seat like this on a beginner bike. It's kind of an Alcantara material, or Alcantara, depending on what part of the world you're from, and it's a really nice touch. The handlebar here, the kind of grab handle for the rear seat's a little flimsy. I would have liked to seen it a little bit tighter on this bike, but I think it's nice for a beginner to be able to grab that to move the bike around. Same frame and engine from before. From what I remember correctly from the press materials, the frame has been lightened by like a kilogram or two. I can't remember, but this is basically the same frame and engine from the old RC390, and this is that tried and true, lovable 373 cc's as we mentioned earlier. But this engine has had some good upgrades over the years. This is a bike that, you know, when it first came out, it blew head gaskets and it was a little bit weird, but those issues have been solved. Big thing I want to point out is this design. This motorcycle features a really cool redesign for the RC390. As I'm sure you'll remember, the original version of this bike had that really stumpy little nose on the front, and this new one is a little bit bigger, a little bit more, you know, impactful. And originally when I saw the renderings for this bike, I thought the blue and the orange here wasn't really doing it for me, but in person, it actually looks really, really cool. You got a little KTM raised logo here on the gas tank. This is actually a nice touch, gives it a bit of a premium feel. Over here on the cockpit as well, you're gonna have the backlit controls, the TFT display, the adjustable levers. This is a really cool setup for this machine. Makes it feel way more premium, way cooler than something like a Ninja 400 or an R3 for that matter. I really like the way this thing looks, man. I think the only thing I think they could have improved is this front fascia. It is a little bit big in my opinion. They could have kept that same razor sharp, narrow little front end that the original RC390 had, but overall, I think this is a really successful design. So one of the coolest things about this bike is the modification potential to it, and we're gonna actually have this motorcycle for about 6 months, and I'm really excited to do a lot of stuff to this. First and foremost, I wanna swap out these tires. This is a Continental Road Attack of some description. I really wanna get some Pirelli Supercorsa SPs would be awesome on this bike. I don't remember if they make them in this size in a 140 or 150, but I'm sure we can get some stickier rubber for this thing, and that's gonna make a massive improvement. That's the first thing I do to any motorcycle that I personally own, is get the right tires on it and at the right PSI. A lot of you out there riding and not checking your motorcycle's PSI, you definitely should be checking those tire pressures. Second, I definitely want to get an exhaust. While this KTM Power Parts looking exhaust looks cool, it's very quiet, it's pretty restrictive. You can see it's got a huge bread box situation right over here and right over here. I definitely want to get rid of all that and put a nice pipe on this thing, maybe do a nice clean flash on it as well, get the most power out of this thing possible. And I know you guys are already asking, Yam, when are you going to get a tail tidy for this thing? We are definitely doing a tail tidy for this bike because it is one of the easiest mods to do on this thing. I remember doing a tail tidy back on this bike in 2019, and the subframe looks exactly the same, and it was a very, very easy job. Furthermore, I'd love to spec in a high quality pad and maybe some better fluid for the braking system. Perhaps after track day riding, we could maybe do a little bit of a master cylinder upgrade even. And then I also want to actually take apart these fairings because KTM tells me that the new redesign makes it much easier to remove and put back on your fairings, kind of like a track bike. So we might have to test out that potential to see how easy it is to take these fairings off and on to do basic maintenance on this machine. Beyond that, we're just gonna put a bunch of miles on this bike and enjoy it and tell you guys what it's like to own and ride this motorcycle. Hopefully we get above 600 miles on this bad boy, show you guys the first service, oil change, all that good stuff. Make sure that it's right and ready for its new owner later this year coming up in 2023. So those are some of the basic mods that I'm gonna wanna be doing to this motorcycle. But if you guys have some suggestions for mods, you let me know down in the comments below. And another one I just thought of is definitely getting that factory quick shifter up and down. So a little bit of background on me and the RC390. I actually have a lot of experience with this motorcycle. So I first owned one in 2019 as a giveaway motorcycle. It was actually the bike we did after our giveaway FZ07, which was after our original Honda Hornet. So the RC390 was the third bike we ever gave away, which was really cool. We made a lot of cool videos on it at the time. I did a detailed deep dive on that bike and really learned a lot about it, and then ultimately gave it away. But I liked the bike so much that I was getting much more into track days and racing at the time that I decided to buy one myself personally, another bike, as a track day mule. So I actually had an RC390 that was track prepped for a full year and a half that I kept at a track here called Harris Hill. My buddy had a garage there, and I would just keep the bike there. I'd show up every Monday, and I would just go out there and rip lap after lap after lap, and really got good on the little bike. I took my own advice and said that if I wanted to get good back in the day, I needed to learn on a little bike. And so I learned a lot about this platform and what exactly it takes to get it to be super track worthy, and its quirks and qualms too. Most notably is the gearbox on this thing. My old RC390, because it was a full-on track mule. It was not a nice motorcycle at all. I crashed it, I think, 5 or 6 times, but it was a bike that had the gearbox that was just, it always found neutral in different spots, and it always popped out of gear randomly. I had it set up to GP shift, but it was just always a little bit wonky. So I'm curious to see if a brand new 2023 RC390, if they've done anything to the gearbox to make it so that it doesn't do that. As we mentioned in the specs, this one does not come with the optional bi-directional quick shifter, but I could see us putting it on there because I definitely do want to get this thing out on track and have some fun with it. But overall, the RC390 is such an awesome turnkey platform for kind of entry-level track day stuff. And that's why I had one alongside my Daytona for many, many years. And in fact, I love the little bike so much that I actually picked up, as many of you know, a CMRA prepped Ninja 400 because I want to get back into little bike endurance racing. And I just miss the feeling of railing a little bike around track and feeling like you're just using 110% of it. It's a lot of fun, and it teaches you a bunch too. So if you guys think that you're too advanced for an RC390, know that your Papa Yam stepped down to an RC390 for a year and a half and got good at track day riding with it. So I owe a lot to this platform and motorcycle. I have many fond memories with it, and I'm super excited to do it as another giveaway bike. But let's talk about the competitors of this motorcycle. In terms of competition for the little RC390 here, I can think of 2 main competitors and 1 kind of pretender to the throne. Obviously, there's the Ninja 400, right? So Ninja 400 has a bigger displacement and another cylinder, so on track, it's a little hard to beat the Ninja 400 in a straight line. That's why you see Ninja 400s being raced most often in the little bike category. In Moto America, for example, in the Junior Cup, basically all Ninja 400s, a couple RC390s. In CMRA, it's all Ninja 400s and a couple RC390s. But that doesn't mean the RC390 isn't track capable and competitive as well. It's all about the rider when it comes to these little bikes, very much so. So the Ninja 400, it's a little more upright, revs out a little bit higher than this bike, and overall it just feels like a little bit more street biased than the RC. The RC still has that baby super sport quality, which is really cool. And the other competitor obviously is the Yamaha R3. Now, the R3 features a smaller engine, multi-cylinder, revs out a little bit higher. I think 12,500 RPM is a red line on that bad boy. And it's a little bit more sporty than the Ninja 400 in terms of its fit and finish and the kind of ergonomics package. But again, most people are racing Ninja 400s, which kind of tells you everything you need to know. But many people actually race R3s. My intern Nico actually has an R3 that he races as well. And I think they are a very cool competitor to the RC, but the RC's tech package is just a little bit higher as well. And then there's the pretender to the throne, the Gixxer 250. Need I say more? I bought that motorcycle back in 2021 as a joke as the worst beginner bike of all time, and I famously blew it up with a tank and a flamethrower. Saying that out loud sounds ridiculous, guys. I'm sorry. It's just pathetic. It's just crazy that I'm like, oh yeah, I blew some bike up with a flamethrower, but that's the point that I'm at now with this stupid YouTube channel. But the Gixxer 250 is not really a competitor. You know, it makes like 20 horsepower. It's got a smaller engine. It doesn't really have anything going for it. I think if you're looking at the small, fully fared baby sport bikes, you really just have the Ninja 400, R3, and the RC390. And honestly, for my money, I would probably take an RC390, even though the Ninja 400 is more track capable and track ready. You have to do a lot to it to get it to that point. This is a much more turnkey motorcycle for track day fun. But let's wrap this video up, shall we? All right, guys, we are super pumped about this KTM RC390. What a handsome, cool little motorcycle. I'm super jazzed to get this thing on track and to modify it and own it, and hopefully do some of that first service on it as well before we ultimately give it away to one of you guys, because it is not a motorcycle that is for me. So head over to shop.yammie.co. If you buy anything on the store in the next 3 days, no discount code required, you will get 5x entries to win this motorcycle for every $1 you spend. But the best way to get entered to win is by becoming a member over on YammieNoob.co. You'll get access to all of the giveaway bike sweepstakes entries, our exclusive behind the scenes content, our Discord server, and 10% off on all of your orders over on shop.yammie.co and Twisted Road Rentals as well. That's the best deal I can offer for you. So make sure you get entered to win this bike. Thanks for watching, and tune in tomorrow for my first ride on this machine. Catch you guys in the next one. See you later. Well, look at you. You've made it to the end of another Yammie Noob video. You should consider yourself pretty lucky because I have curated this one right over here for you to continue watching. It's probably just as good as the one you just saw. Unless you hated the one you just saw. I don't know, maybe leave me a comment down below about how much you hated it as well too. Or just keep watching this one. Make sure you keep watching Yammie Noob. Don't forget to keep watching Yammie Noob. That's the most important thing. Keep watching Yammie Noob.